Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Den. I'm Daniel. Today's edition, I'm talking about where Alabama coach Nick Saban ranks among all-time great coaches after he captured his 7th national championship last night. In last night's national championship game, the Alabama Crimson Tide steamrolled the Ohio State Buckeyes 52-24. The game was essentially over at halftime. You had Heisman Trophy winner and Alabama wide receiver Devontae Smith go off, 12 catches, 215 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This guy will hands down be a top 5 pick in this coming NFL draft. He will definitely be a future Pro Bowler and possibly a future Hall of Famer. The guy is just that talented. The Alabama Crimson Tide showed once again that they are the class of the NCAA in terms of the amount of talent that they are able to turn in and year out on this team's roster. And it's all a credit to Nick Saban, who's not only a great coach, but also a great recruiter. The fact that he can bring out talented teams year in and year out, and they always remain competitive. But now the conversation starts. Now that Nick Saban has a 7th national championship, is he the greatest coach of all time? Now, I'm no Alabama fan or supporter, or don't even have a rooting interest with any college team. I just enjoy watching the games. But it's hard to not put Nick Saban in that upper echelon of great coaches. The only other coach that has that many titles or close to that many titles as Nick Saban is Alabama coach Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant won 6 national championships, all with Alabama in a span of 19 years. Nick Saban won his 6 national championships with Alabama in a span of 12 years. Nick Saban also won another title in 2003 with LSU. So the fact that Nick Saban has won 7 titles, 6 with a powerhouse program like Alabama, and then another dominant program like LSU, speaks to his greatness and his resume, and how this guy, no matter where he goes in college, proves that he can win and he can recruit. But Bear Bryant also did the same thing, and to many Crimson Tide fans, Bear Bryant is still the gold standard at Alabama, despite Nick Saban now tying him for most championships, even though Nick Saban has eclipsed him in terms of overall championships. So I never want to minimize what great coaches have done in the past. And the furthest I'm willing to go is to say that Nick Saban is the greatest coach of his era. But I will say that Nick Saban is one of the greatest coaches of all time. I just can't make him the greatest of all time by himself. Because again, you have great coaches that came before him, like a Bear Bryant, like a Bobby Bowden, like an Eddie Robinson, and others. So I would say that Nick Saban, if we want to rank him among all-time great coaches, I would say Nick Saban is probably 1 and Bear Bryant is 1A, or however you want to do it. But both of these guys should be at the top of that list. But I will say that Nick Saban is the greatest coach of his era. The only other coach in a modern era right now in college football who has more than 1 national championship is Dabo Swinney, who has beaten Nick Saban twice. So that's something else that factors into why I say Nick Saban is among the elite coaches, great coaches of all time, but why he's still the greatest of his era, because what Dabo Swinney has built down in Clemson can't be ignored, and the fact that Dabo Swinney has defeated Nick Saban twice in national championship games is something we have to look at. But the fact that Nick Saban has 7 titles is pretty amazing. 6 with Alabama, where it is difficult to win, and there's always pressure to not only make it to the college football playoff, but to compete and win national championships. And the fact that Nick Saban was able to not succumb to the pressure, but to exceed expectations and bring Alabama back to prominence with what he's built down there, and to turn out first-round picks in the NFL draft every year with the amount of talent he's able to accumulate while en route to winning titles is pretty amazing. So I want to know what you guys think out there. Do you think Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time? Or would you take Bear Bryant or some other coach? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And please hit the subscribe button to see more content. We'll do it again next time, and I'm out.